chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So I figured I'd break away from tradition, and I would bring you guys a game from the 2016 Philippines Championships, also known as Battle of the Grandmasters. When you kind of start to get later, in the final stages of that championships. So yes, I have the one and only Eugene Torre versus Nouri. And, it's a pretty nice, interesting game. A lot of twists and turns rolling. You guys know I'm repping my Astros. One day when I come to the Philippines, I'm going to need to buy me some gear, some shirts, some stuff from out there. I already talked to one of my friends about it. He was like, yeah, man, do it. So I was like, okay. All right, man. So, yeah, man, if you guys are, let me see. I'm going to go ahead and speak some Tagalog. I got, let me see, mabuhay to you guys. Kamusta na aking mga kaibigan? Masaya akong makinig kang muli. Maraming salamat po sa nanonood ng aking mga video, aking mga kaibigan. Let me see. Mabuting pagbati. Ingat lagi to you guys. Hello ulit. Magandang umaga. Magandang hapon if you guys see this in the afternoon. And as always, as I tell everybody, if you want to skip this entire intro, I got it right at the top of the description. You don't have to hear nothing I got to say until the game begins. But I think that a lot of people, they kind of like a little bit of an intro. I know I've gotten a lot of good feedback on my Tagalog. I've gotten quite good over the 2 years that I've been doing this. I have definitely a lot of people that like to help me out with it. So, maraming salamat, aking mga kaibigan. But yeah, man, if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look, see what we got for this game, homie. So we got the move D4, we got the move F5, and we do have the Dutch defense, and if I'm not mistaken, that is a favorite of Eric Rosen, along with him saying, oh no, my queen. So, yes, we have the Dutch opening. We do have a knight going to C3, and there's many different ways from this point that you can go. I mean, you can just simply go knight to F3, you can go G3s, you got C4s coming up, just kind of however you feel like playing. But we do have knight to c3. And of course, as you guys know, the main point of playing the move f5 is that white would really like to establish e4, d4 in the center of the board. It's the most ideal pawn center to establish. So, the Sicilian, after the move e4, comes to try to prevent this d4 move without consequences. And it is kind of like, the same thing. So, almost kind of a reverse Sicilian type situation. So we do see the move knight to f6. We got bishop to g5. We got the move d5, and then Eugene just decides that he's going to damage Nouri's pawn structure. So we go bishop taking f6, pawn taking f6. But, I mean, it doesn't do, like, a major amount of damage. It doesn't even really strap you with a bad pawn because you do have the ability of playing g3 at some point. So, I mean, it's very easy to actually hold this pawn. We do see the move e3. We got bishop to e6. Bishop goes to d3. We got queen down to d7. Queen goes to f3. And then we do see knight to c6. And I think that, I mean, everything is kind of obvious. Like, where is black castling? I mean, you're going to castle queenside. I mean, you pretty much all of your moves just, bishop to e6, queen d7, knight c6 are all basically saying I'm trying to get castled queenside pretty immediately. So we do see the move a3. We are trying to prevent a bishop from coming here because as of right now, this pawn, it's not like it's about to get taken, but I mean, you do kind of have a little bit of pressure on it. So we just want to keep that knight on the board. So we do see long castles by black. Knight G goes to E2, and then we do see the move G5. Now, what white is possibly thinking about doing is going knight to G3 and just going full-on attack on this pawn. Because we would have the bishop, the knight, and the queen all train on this square. But like I said, I mean, G6 is pretty easy to, go ahead and, protect that pawn. But black decides that he's like, bro, I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to try to attack my pawn. I'm going to go G5. And this makes a lot of sense simply because, black is castled queenside over here. Now, white doesn't really have a home at the moment. They haven't castled queenside or kingside yet. So, I mean, but black is going to be trying to make sure that they protect their king with these pawns, but they are going to be flinging these pawns in a kamikaze-like mode. So seeing all of this and trying to be aware of some certain things that are available in the position, we see Eugene actually go the move G3. And I will come back to this point in a minute. But to go through the rest of the moves, we do see the move h5. And I mean, because Eugene is not castled, he does kind of want to slow Black's attack down just a little bit. So he does go h4. And then we do see the novelty of the game, which is the move f4. And to just show you guys a couple more moves about, you know, exactly what Black is thinking in this position. After we do see G takes f4, we do see the move bishop to g4. And this was the reason that g3 was played, to make sure that the queen has some area to go. After we see queen to g2, we do say pawn taking f4 and then knight taking f4, and everything is pretty much good, you know, for white. They do have a pretty commanding lead. It's not like they're just completely winning the game, but I mean, they are doing very, very well. So if we actually back up, after we saw the move g5, instead of seeing the move g3 for white, let's just say, for example, white decides that I'm just going to go full on attack on this pawn because you didn't play g6, right? You got knight to g3. You would be seeing the move f4 in this position, just like we saw in the other position. But I pose a question to you in this particular position. If you are white, what move? There is only one move to play in this position, and there's a reason why. If you do want to pause the video and try to see what that one move is, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. So the major thing that you have to be paying attention to is the fact that your queen is actually trapped at the moment. You know, with bishop to g4 coming. Now, you guys saw already when I was showing you the other variation how bishop to g4 did come. It was a little bit different, but it did come. If bishop to g4 can successfully land on the board, if you don't really pay attention, you're going to at least be losing a piece, and you do have the ability to lose your queen. So do not do that. Knight h5 is the only move that there is in this position. And I mean, it does still give Black a really, really nice position. You know, but if we do see the move bishop to g4 now, thinking, aha, I'm going to fork your queen and your knight's going to die. The reason that you move knight to h5 is so that you do have this move knight takes f6. And not only does this attack the queen, but it also attacks that bishop. And this is the only saving move. But if we back up, if you did not pay attention and you do not notice that your queen is in some very good danger or you're losing a piece, and let's just say you capture here with, you know, pawn takes f4, you would be immediately seeing knight takes d4. And then the absolute best way to respond to this is queen to e3. Knight takes c2 with check. Bishop takes c2, and then we do see the move d4, forking your pieces. So we are going to be getting some material here with that. Also, after the move f4, if you did decide to retreat your knight some different kind of way, just to give you an example, knight g going back to e2, you would be seeing bishop to g4, and this would force you to give up, you know, at least a piece to save your queen. Queen would be taking d5, queen take d5, knight take d5, rook take d5. And as you can see, Black has 5 pieces and you only have 4. So it was very, very imperative in this particular position that you do go knight h5. But backing up to what we saw in the game, we did get into this position here after all these moves were made. And Black just has a very, very dominant position. They are attacking this pawn right here, you know, which you really kind of, knight to e7 is really the only way you really want to try to, you know, take care of that pawn. It's the only way you can really hold it. But we do see the move bishop to h6, and this just pretty much gives the pawn away immediately. Knight f takes d5, and then you do have queen down to e6. And of course, you are up material, so what are you going to do? Try to trade. Queen to e4. Eugene Torre is saying, bro, I got some pieces, dude. So I want your queen off the board. I mean, let's just go ahead and trade, and then you're going to be good to go. We do see the move queen to d6. So Nouri is saying, bro, I do not want to trade you. I'm down. Let me see, 3. I think you're down 2 entire pawns at this point. You do not absolutely want to trade at all. So we do see the move queen to g6, and Eugene Torre is trying to find another way to get some material and to try to trade pieces. So we do see the king going over to b8. Queen takes on f6. So now that's another pawn that's dropped. But you still, the more you lose material, like the less and less you want to actually trade pieces down, because it's just worse and worse for you. So we do see the knight down to b4, and you see that Eugene is just constantly trying to trade pieces because he is up 3 entire pawns at this point. So if you can trade all the pieces down, man, you just got 3 pawns, and especially you have all of these pawns in the center of the board, like literally just going to get pushed to the end zone forever. So we do see rook d to f8, knight takes c6 for check, pawn takes c6, and then the queen goes down to e5. And the only thing that you have to kind of be careful about is that the king is kind of exposed for white. But I mean, there's not a really great way for black to really kind of like penetrate into your position at the moment. We do see the rook going back over to e8, and this is never bad to try to put the rook opposite the king. You know, because there are a little bit of tactics that can go on. I mean, the queen can take here type stuff. But, I mean, white is, like, so in a favorable position that, I mean, it really doesn't do much. And you do have the move queen to c5. You do see rook h going to f8. And then we do see the rook going to f1. We got the rook down to f6. We're trying to double. So we do see a knight over to e4. After knight f goes to e6, we do see knight to g5. And we're not worried about bishop takes because we can probably go ahead and just take pawn. Or even queen if you just want to go ahead and do that. Even though you're going to be giving a pawn up yourself, I mean, you're still all right. The rook does come over to d6. We see king to d2. Just trying to get out of the pins that are in the situation. The rook goes to d5. We see queen to b4 with check. So with the tempo, the king goes over to a8. We do see the move f4. And now this knight is literally living here forever. And we are not pinned, so we're not worried about this rook taking here. We do see the move c5, pawn takes c5, rook goes over to b8, and then we do see queen to c4. So you see that like all the white's movements are pretty much holding down their position. You know, they're not doing bad at all. This bishop is heavily protected by this pawn. So, I mean, we're all good to go. We're not worried about the rook, you know, capturing here. You know, we're just going to give away a pawn. It doesn't even matter. We do see the move c6, and this does allow us to just pretty much just tie everything up with the move b4. We do see a bishop going to g7. We see rook a to e1. And the interesting thing is, I mean, white never castled. But, I mean, you see how, like, great and solid their position is, even though they never castled. So, this is definitely not a game of the century where white literally super paid for not castling. I mean, we're doing good. So, the bishop does go to b2. We're dreaming of grabbing some pawns. I mean, if we can get this a3 pawn, I mean, we actually got a little bit of an attack rolling over here, man. So, but we're not going to do that. We got queen down to b3. We see bishop back to f6. We got queen over to a4. And then we actually have the queen stepping over to e7, which is kind of interesting simply because this is like the most killer move on the board. You literally can go queen takes c6 with check, and there's not a drawback to this move. I mean, your best thing to probably do is go queen to b7 to protect this rook. But, I mean, we don't see this in the game. For some reason, I don't know what Eugene Torre was thinking about in this position, like why he felt like he had to go queen to a6. But that's what he did. I don't know if he saw some type of danger going on, but it's like, man, when you could capture a piece with check, like 9 times out of 10, you're just golden. So we do see queen over to c7. We got the move e4. And like I said, I mean, you got these pawns in the middle of the board that are just rolling to the promised land. So you do see rook down to d4. You got the move e5. You got bishop back to e7. You got the move f5. Rook B goes to d8. You see the knight going to e6, just absolutely forking these two rooks and the queen. This is like a royal flush. This is like a royal flush like fork, so it's bad, man. So the queen does step over to d7, and then we do see knight taking d4, and it is in this position that Ahmed Nouri resigns the game. And like I said, because this bishop is not only held by the queen, but it's also held by you know, this pawn, there really isn't anything you can do after queen takes d4, and you are just constantly pushing these pawns ever so much forward, and this queen is trained on this square to check the king. So, I mean, there is just literally nothing that you can do in this position if you are black. Everything is just insanely lost. So, I appreciate you guys very much. Maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Mabuting pagbati. Ingat lagi. Let me see. I think Makito tayo mamaya. See you guys later. Paalam. And I'll see you guys next time.